Hey there everyone, Ramesh here back again with another course titled Learn TimeLeap with Spring Boot 3. Well, in this course we are going to learn everything about TimeLeap using Spring Boot 3. In this course we are going to use the latest version of TimeLeap, the latest version of Spring Boot, the latest version of Java and all the tools and technologies in this course. Okay, so in this course you will learn everything about TimeLeap from the scratch. We will learn step by step like what is TimeLeap, how it works, and how to integrate TimeLeap with Spring Boot. We will create a forms, and we will see how to handle the forms using Spring Boot and Spring MUC. Okay, so we'll learn everything about TimeLeap in this course. Okay, so without further ado, let's kickstart this course with what is TimeLeap. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into what is TimeLeap. Well, TimeLeap is a modern server-side Java template engine for both web and standalone environments capable of processing HTML, XML, JavaScript, CSS, and even plain text. Well, TimeLeap is not only used in web applications but also used in standalone applications. And TimeLeap is not only capable of processing HTML, but TimeLeap can be also used to processing XML, JavaScript, CSS, and even plain text. And in this course, we are going to use TimeLeap to process HTML templates. Well, the main goal of TimeLeap is to provide an elegant and high maintainable way of creating templates. Well, TimeLeap is commonly used to generate HTML views for our web applications. Well, consider this is a Spring Web MUC application architecture over here, and TimeLeap is widely used to develop the HTML views in a web applications. And this is the example of Spring MUC web application architecture. And in Spring Web MUC applications, basically TimeLeap is used to develop the HTML views. TimeLeap is the best choice for developing Spring MUC web applications. Well, we can also use JSP, but JSP is kind of outdated. So nowadays, TimeLeap is the best choice for developing Spring MUC applications. And in this course, we are going to use TimeLeap templates to develop the view layer in a Spring MUC web applications. Well, you may have a question like what kind of templates can TimeLeap process? Well, out of the box, TimeLeap allows you to process 6 kinds of templates such as HTML, XML, text, JavaScript, CSS, and plain text. Well, TimeLeap is not only used to process HTML templates, but TimeLeap can be used to process XML, text, JavaScript, CSS, and plain text. Alright? Well, you might have a question like what exactly is a TimeLeap template? Well, TimeLeap template can be HTML, XML, JavaScript, CSS, or plain text. And here if you can see the code snippet over here, this is the TimeLeap HTML template with some HTML code and TimeLeap expressions. Okay, so if you can look at this code snippet over here, this is the TimeLeap HTML template, and it has a HTML code as well as TimeLeap expressions and TimeLeap attributes. And TimeLeap engine will basically process the TimeLeap expressions and TimeLeap attributes, and it will add the result in the HTML page. Okay, so this is how the TimeLeap HTML template looks like. Well, consider one more example for TimeLeap template. So this is the TimeLeap HTML template. It has HTML code along with that TimeLeap expressions and TimeLeap attributes. Well, if you can notice here, dollar within a curly braces employees. So employees is a Java variable, and we can use TimeLeap expression to access the Java variable. And here th colon each and th colon text. So these are the TimeLeap attributes. Okay. So this is the best example for TimeLeap HTML template. It has a HTML code along with that TimeLeap expressions and TimeLeap attributes. Next, you may have a question like where TimeLeap template get processed. Well, in web applications, TimeLeap is processed on the server side, and the results are included in the HTML and returned to the browser. For example, consider we have Spring MUC web application architecture over here. In Spring MUC, we have model, view, and controller. And the view layer in a Spring MUC is responsible to process the TimeLeap template at a server side, and it will produce the plain HTML output, and it will return that plain HTML output to the browser for rendering. Just remember, TimeLeap templates are get processed at the server side, and the results are included in the HTML and returned to the browser for rendering. Well, consider this is a Spring Boot Web MUC architecture, and in this architecture we have different layers like view layer, controller layer, service layer, and repository layer. And we are going to use TimeLeap templates to develop the view layer in a Spring Boot Web MUC applications. Alright, and TimeLeap is one of the best choice for developing Spring MUC web applications. In next lecture, we will see how TimeLeap template engine works. Alright, I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture, we have seen what is TimeLeap. Well, ThymeLip is a modern server-side template engine. It is used to process HTML, XML, JavaScript, CSS and even plain text. In this lecture, we will take a look into how template engine works. Well, consider this workflow here. It has a ThymeLip template, model, controller and output. And this is the ThymeLip HTML template. It has HTML code along with that ThymeLip expressions and ThymeLip attributes. Well, ThymeLip engine will parse this ThymeLip HTML template and it will evaluate the ThymeLip expressions and ThymeLip attributes and it will add that result in the HTML page. And if you look at the output here, ThymeLip engine will basically replace all the ThymeLip expressions and ThymeLip attributes and it will add the result, and here is the output of that result. Well, look at here this code snippet. We are using ThymeLip provided th:/each attribute to iterate over a list of students, and this list of student is coming from the Spring MUC controller. And here student is nothing but a model class. It has attributes like first name, last name, email, and here we are using ThymeLip variable expression to access model attributes like student.firstname, student.lastname and student.email. So basically ThymeLip engine will parse this ThymeLip HTML template and it uses model data to replace the positions marked on the ThymeLip template to create a new text in the HTML page. Alright, so ThymeLip engine will basically parse this ThymeLip HTML template and it uses a model data to replace the ThymeLip expressions and attributes. Well, consider one more example over here. We have ThymeLip HTML template and we have model and we have output of the ThymeLip engine. Well, ThymeLip engine will basically parse this ThymeLip HTML template and it uses a Java model data to replace the positions marked on the ThymeLip HTML template to create a new text in the HTML page. For example, this code snippet has a ThymeLip expressions, isn't it? And ThymeLip engine will basically replace this ThymeLip expressions with a model data and it will produce the new text and that will be added in the final HTML page. Okay, if you look at the result of this ThymeLip expressions over here. Alright, just remember ThymeLip engine will parse the ThymeLip template and it uses model data to replace the positions marked on the ThymeLip template to create a new text in the HTML page. Alright, so this is how the ThymeLip engine basically works. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll create and set up Spring Boot project and we'll see how to integrate ThymeLip in a Spring Boot project. So let's create a Spring Boot project using Spring Initializer and then we'll import that project in IntelliJ IDEA and then we'll see how to integrate ThymeLip in a Spring Boot project. So let's go to browser. In a new tab, just type start.spring.io. This will bring up Spring Initializer. Well, Spring Initializer is a web tool that we can use to quickly create and bootstrap Spring based applications. Now let's go and let's fill up the Spring Boot project information over here. Well, we are going to use Maven, so let's keep Maven project as selected over here. And here we have three kinds of JVM languages: Java, Kotlin, Groovy. Let's keep Java as selected. And Spring Boot version, so we are going to use Spring Boot 3. So let's select Spring Boot 3.0.0. This is basically milestone 4. Next, let's fill up the project metadata over here. Well, here I am going to give group as net.javaguides. You can give any group that you want. Next, let's view artifact as ThymeLip tutorial, something like that. And then project name is same as artifact. Next, let's give description as demo project for Spring Boot and ThymeLip. Next, package name, let's keep net.javaguides.thymelip. Next, let's keep packaging as a jar and let's keep Java version 17. Well, whenever we choose Spring Boot 3, we have to use Java version 17 or later, right? So let's keep Java 17 as selected over here. Next, let's go ahead and let's add dependencies to our Spring Boot project. For that, go ahead and click on add dependencies over here, and here just type Spring Web. Well, we are going to use Spring Boot Starter Web dependency to develop the Spring MUC web applications, and this Spring Web dependency internally provides Apache Tomcat as a default embedded container to deploy the Spring MUC application. So go ahead and choose Spring Web dependency over here. Next, we are going to use ThymeLip. For that, let's go ahead and let's choose ThymeLip dependency. Well, we are going to learn more about ThymeLip dependency a bit later. So go ahead and choose ThymeLip dependency over here. Well, as of now, these two dependencies are enough. Next, if you want to explore this Spring Boot project, you can go ahead and click on explore option over here, and you can explore the Spring Boot project structure, and you can explore the pom.xml content. Alright, so go ahead and click on close, and next go ahead and click on generate button to generate this Spring Boot project as a zip file. Alright, And if you can see here, Spring Boot application is downloaded as zip file. Next, you can open this zip file in a folder. And next, let's unzip this zip file. Alright, next let's go ahead and let's import this Spring Boot project in IntelliJ IDEA. So let's open IntelliJ IDEA, and here in IntelliJ IDEA you have three options: new project, open, get from VCS. Well, we are going to open the existing Spring Boot project in IntelliJ IDEA. For that, go ahead and click on open over here, and next go to the location where your Spring Boot application is present. So in my case it is in downloads folder. So let's select the Spring Boot project, go ahead and click on open. Now our Spring Boot application is opened in IntelliJ IDEA. Next, select the project and go to file, and then project structure, and then project settings, project, and here we have SDK. So make sure that you configure JDK 17 as a SDK here, because we are using Spring Boot 3. We have to configure SDK Java 17. In my case, I am configuring OpenJDK 17, but you can also use Oracle JDK 17 as well. Next, once you configure the SDK, next click on OK. Okay, now we have successfully created and set up Spring Boot project in IntelliJ IDEA. Next, let's go and let's explore the integration of ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project. So go ahead and click on pom.xml file over here, and here let's explore this very important dependency, that is Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency. Well, Spring Boot provides Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency to work with ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project, and this Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency internally provides all the required dependencies to integrate ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project. For example, if we dive into this dependency internally provides ThymeLib Spring 6 integration dependency. Okay, so in order to integrate ThymeLib with Spring, we have to use this dependency, right? But this Spring Boot provided Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency internally provides ThymeLib Spring 6 integration dependency, and this dependency internally provides ThymeLib dependency as well. Okay, well, in order to integrate ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project, we just have to add this single dependency, and this Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency internally add all the ThymeLib and Spring integration related dependencies. Alright, this is awesome, right? If you want to use ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project, we just have to add single dependency, and Spring Boot will take care of adding all the ThymeLib and ThymeLib integration related dependencies. Alright, great. Well, let me recap what we have done in this lecture. We have created and set up Spring Boot project in IntelliJ IDEA, and we have seen how to integrate ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project. So basically we need to add only this single dependency to integrate ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project. In next lecture, we'll see Spring Boot auto configuration for ThymeLib. Well, whenever we add this Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency in a Spring Boot project, Spring Boot will automatically configure a lot of stuff for ThymeLib. Okay, in next lecture, we'll see how Spring Boot will auto configure ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture, we have created and set up Spring Boot project in IntelliJ IDEA, and we have also explored about Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency. Alright, so in order to integrate ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project, we just have to use this single Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency, and this dependency does a lot of stuff. Okay, so if you dive into this dependency, it internally provides ThymeLib Spring 6 integration dependency. Also, it will provide ThymeLib Extras Java 8 time dependency, and if you dive inside ThymeLib Spring 6 integration dependency, it internally provides ThymeLib dependency. It means that in order to integrate ThymeLib in a Spring Boot project, we just have to add Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency. Now let's go and let's explore Spring Boot auto configuration for ThymeLib. Well, here auto configuration means Spring Boot will automatically configure ThymeLib related configurations. We don't have to manually do it. Okay, Spring Boot will automatically configure ThymeLib related configurations. We don't have to manually do that. Well, Spring Boot provides auto configuration for ThymeLib by adding Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency. It means that Spring Boot will provide auto configuration for ThymeLib whenever we add this Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency in our Spring Boot project. Next, Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency, it internally provides Spring and ThymeLib integration dependencies. For example, if you dive inside this Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency, it internally provides ThymeLib Spring 6 integration dependency. Next, Spring Boot automatically configures View Resolver for ThymeLib. Well, whenever we add this Spring Boot starter ThymeLib dependency in a Spring Boot project, then Spring Boot will automatically configure View Resolver for ThymeLib. Well, whenever we develop a Spring MVC application, we have to configure a View Resolver for ThymeLib. Okay, so Spring MVC basically requires a View Resolver in order to resolve the view. Okay, so Spring Boot will automatically configure View Resolver for ThymeLib we don't have to manually configure the view resolver for TimeLeap. Next, Spring Boot auto configures location for TimeLeap template. By default, Spring Boot will look for TimeLeap templates in a resources/templates folder. For example, if you go to our project, we have a resources folder. Within that, we have templates folder. Okay, so Spring Boot will automatically configure the location for TimeLeap templates. By default, the location is templates folder. Okay, so by default, Spring Boot will look for all the TimeLeap templates within this templates folder. We don't have to manually configure the location for TimeLeap templates. Okay, so these are the configurations Spring Boot will automatically does for us. We don't have to manually configure all these things for TimeLeap. Next, let's explore more about Spring Boot auto configuration by looking into the internal source code. Well, Spring Boot provides Spring Boot auto configure library, and this library contains all the auto configuration classes. And if you can notice here, TimeLeap auto configuration is one of the auto configuration class, and this class basically provides auto configuration for TimeLeap. For example, if you just scroll down and if you can see here, this is the Spring Bean, and this Spring Bean automatically configure the view resolver for TimeLeap. Okay, and if you can scroll down and notice here a couple of things, like Spring Boot will automatically configure layout dialect whenever it will find TimeLeap layout dependency in a class path, and Spring Boot will also configure Spring Security dialect whenever it will find Spring Security and TimeLeap integration dependency in a class path. Next, Spring Boot will automatically configure Java 8 time dialect bean. Alright, perfect. Now we pretty much understood how Spring Boot will provide auto configuration for TimeLeap. In next lecture, we'll create a hello world example using Spring Boot and TimeLeap. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we will create a TimeLeap hello world example. Well, here are the development steps. First, we'll create a handler method to handle HTTP request, and this handler method returns the model and view. Next, we'll create a TimeLeap template as a view and we'll display model data. Or it's pretty simple. Just we need to create a handler method to handle the HTTP request, and this handler method will return the model and view, and then we'll create a simple TimeLeap template view and then we'll display the model data. So let's go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's create a simple TimeLeap hello world example. Well, first of all, we need to create a handler method, right? For that, we need to create a Spring MVC controller. So go to TimeLeap main package, and here let me quickly create a new package and let's call it as controller. Within a controller, we keep Spring MVC controllers. Next, right click on controller package, new, and then choose Java class, and let's give controller name as hello world controller. Perfect. Next, let's go ahead and let's annotate this class with @controller annotation from org.springframework.stereotype package. Well, once we annotate this class with @controller annotation, then this class becomes a Spring MVC controller, and this class is capable to handle HTTP request. Next, within this Spring MVC controller, we create a handler method. So let me write the comment over here: handler method to handle hello world request. Perfect. Next, let's go and let's create the method. Just type public, and let's give return type of the method is string, and let's give method name as hello world. Alright, and let's annotate this method with @getMapping annotation. Well, we use getMapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request, and let's give URL here, that is, let's say hello world. Okay, and here in order to store the model data, we have to use model interface from org.springframework.ui package. So let us select model interface here, and then next let's store some data in a model. For example, model dot. So this model provides add attribute method, and notice here there are a couple of overloaded add attribute methods. We are going to choose the first one. It takes 2 parameters. So go ahead and choose this add attribute method, and here we need to pass post parameter as a attribute name. Let's give attribute name as message, and let's give attribute value as hello world. Perfect. And in order to access this hello world attribute value in a TimeLeap template, we have to use this attribute name. Okay, we'll see how we can access this attribute value by using this attribute name bit later. Now we have added a data to the model. Next, we need to return the view. So let's give view name as hello-world. Perfect. Now we have created a handler method. It will handle HTTP GET request with the URL hello world, and within this handler method we have stored hello world data in a model, and we have returned the hello world view. Next we will create a hello world TimeLeap template view, and then we will display this model data. So here, before that, let me write the complete URL: HTTP localhost :8080/hello world. Well, whenever user hit this link in the browser, then this handler method will get called, and this handler method return this TimeLeap template view, right? So let's go and let's design hello world TimeLeap template view. So let me copy this view name and go to templates folder, and within the templates folder let's create a HTML file and let's give name as hello world. Okay, so remember, by default Spring Boot will look for all the TimeLeap templates under this templates folder, hence we have to keep all the TimeLeap templates under this templates folder. Okay, now we have created hello world.html file. Next let's go and let's write the code. So here let me write the title something like TimeLeap hello world example, something like that. Next we need to configure namespace for TimeLeap. Well, in order to use TimeLeap syntax in this HTML file, we have to define a namespace for TimeLeap at the beginning of this HTML page. For example, go to this HTML element, and here we need to define the XML namespace. So just type XML namespace :th and then http www.timeleap.org. So this is basically official website of TimeLeap, and in order to use TimeLeap syntax in this HTML file, we have to define XML namespace for TimeLeap at the beginning of this HTML page like this. Next let's go ahead and let's display the model data. Well, if you go to hello world controller and go to this handler method, in the handler method we have stored this hello world string in a model, right? Now let's go and let's display this hello world string by using this message attribute name. Okay, let me show you how we can do that. So go to hello world.html page again and go to body. Within a body let's have a h2 element, and then here within h2 element let's type th:\text. Well, TimeLeap provides th:\text attribute to display the text. Well, we are going to basically access the Java variable. For that we need to use a variable expression, and here's the syntax: dollar within a curly braces we just need to pass attribute name. In our case it is a message. For example, if you go to hello world controller, we are using attribute name as a message, attribute value as a hello world. Okay, in order to access this hello world attribute value, we have to use this attribute name, isn't it? This is what we are doing in a hello.html page. We are using attribute name to access the attribute value by using variable expression. So this is called variable expression. Okay, dollar within a curly braces we need to pass attribute name in order to access the attribute value, and here th:\text is a TimeLeap attribute. It will evaluate this expression and it will print the result. Alright, we will learn more about this th:\text TimeLeap attribute as well as variable expression in upcoming lectures. Now let's go ahead and let's run our Spring Boot application and let's see how this TimeLeap hello world example works. So let me go to main entry point class of the Spring Boot project, and from here we can run our Spring Boot application. Alright, notice here our Spring Boot application is up and running in an embedded Tomcat server on port 8080. Next let's go to browser and let's access our TimeLeap application. Well, if you go to hello world controller, here we have a URL, right? So let me copy this URL and go to browser, and in a new tab just paste it and just hit enter, and there we go. You can able to see hello world is printed in a web page. It means that we have successfully created TimeLeap hello world example. Well, let me recap what we have done in this lecture. We have created a hello world controller. Within that we have defined the handler method to handle hello world request, and within this handler method we have stored hello world string in the model, and next we have returned the hello world TimeLeap template view. Next we have created hello world TimeLeap template view, and we have displayed the hello world string by using this TimeLeap variable expression. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this section of the lectures, we'll take a look into TimeLeap standard expressions. Well, there are 5 types of TimeLeap standard expressions: variable expressions, selection expressions, message expressions, link expressions, and fragment expressions. Well, we'll take a look into each of these TimeLeap standard expressions with lots of examples. In this lecture, I'm going to cover variable expressions with an example. Let's take a look into variable expressions. Well, variable expressions are the most commonly used ones in a TimeLeap templates, and the variable expressions will help to bind the data from template context into resulting HTML view. Well, basically we use variable expressions in a TimeLeap template to access the model data which is present in a template context. Well, we'll see how we can bind the data from the model using variable expressions in an example section. And here you can see this is the syntax for variable expressions. Like dollar, within a curly braces we pass the variable name. Okay, now let's understand how to use variable expressions with an example. Consider we have added a data to the model in a Spring MVC controller, and in order to access this model data in a TimeLeap template, we can use TimeLeap variable expressions. Well, consider we have Spring MVC controller, that is message controller. It has a message handler method. It returns a model and view. And if you can notice here, the model has add attribute method, and it takes 2 parameters. First parameter is attribute name, second parameter is attribute value, and we basically store the data in a model by using add attribute method, and we pass a attribute name and attribute value. Alright, and this handler method returns a message TimeLeap template view name. And if you can see here, this is basically a TimeLeap HTML template, and in order to access the model data, we are using variable expression over here. And if you can notice the syntax for variable expression, that is dollar within a curly braces, we are passing the message, and this message is coming from message controller. If you can notice here, this add attribute method has 2 parameters, attribute name and attribute value. Attribute name is message, attribute value is a hello world. In order to access this attribute value, we have to use attribute name. That is what we are doing over here. We are using variable expression, and we are just passing this attribute name in order to access this attribute value. Okay, alright, so this is how we use a variable expression to access the model data from the Spring MVC controller. Well, let's take a look into one more example over here. Here we have student model class, and here we have a handler method. It returns the model and view, and the model contains a list of students. And here we have a TimeLeap HTML template view, and if you can notice here, in a TimeLeap HTML template view, we are using variable expression to access a students variable, and this students is coming from this handler method. If you can notice here, this model has add attribute method, and add attribute method takes 2 parameters, students as attribute name and students as attribute value, and attribute value is basically a list of students, isn't it? And in order to access a list of students, we are using attribute name here. Alright, and after that, here you can see we are using student.firstname, student.lastname, student.email. So these are basically a model attribute. For example, student is a model class. It has first name, last name, email. And in order to access the model attribute also, we are using variable expression. Now let's go and let's see how to use variable expressions in an action. So let me go to IntelliJ IDEA and let me demonstrate how to use variable expressions in an action. So let me go ahead and let me first create one model class. So here I will create a new package, and let's call it as model, and within a model package, let me create one class, and let me call it as user, and let me define the instance variables within this class. For example, private string name, and then private string user email, and then private string role, user role, and then private string gender. Perfect. Now let's go and let's create a constructor for this class. Just right click, generate, and then constructor, and then choose all the fields and click on OK, and also create a getter setter methods. Right click, generate, and choose getter setter, and choose all the fields over here and click on OK. Now we have created simple user model class. Next, let's create a handler method. So go to controller package, right click, and then Java class, and let's give class name as user controller. Perfect. So let's go and let's annotate this user controller class with @controller annotation to make this class as a Spring MVC controller, and within this Spring MVC controller we can define the handler methods. So let me write the handler method to handle variable expression request. Perfect. So here just type public, and then return type of the method is string, and let's give method name as variable expression, something like that. And then let's annotate this method with add get mapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request with the URL. Let's give URL as a variable expression, something like that. Okay, we are going to demonstrate the usage of variable expression, hence we are creating a handler method with the URL variable hyphen expression. Okay, next let's pass a model as a parameter to this method, and make sure that you choose model from org.springframework.ui package. Next, let's go ahead and let's add a data to the model. Well, we are going to add a user model object. For that, let's create a user object first. User equal to new user, and then let's pass the value to the constructor, name as a Ramesh, and then email as ramesh@gmail.com, and let's give role as admin, and then let's give gender as a male. Perfect. Now we have created user model object. Next, let's add this object to the model. So let's call model dot, it has add attribute method, and then let's pass first parameter as user, second parameter as actual user object. Perfect. Next, let's return the view. Let's give view name as variable expression. Next, we will create a variable expression ThymeLib template, and we will access this model data in a ThymeLib template. So go to templates folder, and within a templates folder, let's create a HTML file and let's name it as variable hyphen expression. Perfect. Within this variable expression ThymeLib template, we are going to access the model data using variable expression. So let's give title as variable expressions. Next, let's view a ThymeLib XML namespace. So here let's go to HTML element and let's define the XML namespace for ThymeLib. Just type XML namespace :th and then http and then www.thymelib.org. Now we have defined XML namespace for ThymeLib at the beginning of this HTML page. Next, we can use the ThymeLib syntax. Next, go to body. Within a body, let's have a h1 element and let's give some text, something like variable expression demo. So this is going to be a page heading. Next, let's use one more header element, that is h2 element, and here let me pass a text as a user details. So here basically we are going to print the user model object data. Next, let's create div, and within a div let's have a paragraph element and let's print username first, and let's use strong HTML element to make username in a bold. Alright, and here within a strong HTML element let's use th:\text ThymeLib attribute, and then let's use a variable expression, that is dollar within a curly braces user.name. Well, here user.name is basically coming from the user controller. Well, if you go to user controller, within user controller we have variable expression handler method. It has a model, and we have added user as attribute name and actual user object as attribute value to the model, right? And in order to access the actual user model object, we have to use this attribute name, that is user. And in order to access the user model object attributes, that is name, email, role, gender, we have to use a syntax like this. Okay, dollar within a curly braces, then the attribute name, that is user, dot, and then field name, that is user. Similarly, let's print user email. So here let's have a paragraph element and then email, and then let's have a strong HTML element, and then within a strong HTML element let's have a ThymeLib attribute, that is th:\text, and then let's have a variable expression dollar within curly braces, just pass user dot email. Okay, next let's print gender and role. For that, let's have a paragraph element and let's say role, and then strong HTML element, and then let's use ThymeLib attribute th:\text, and then let's use variable expression dollar within curly braces user dot role. Similarly, let's print gender as well, gender, and then strong HTML element, and then th colon text timelip attribute, and then dollar within curly braces user dot gender. Perfect. Now we have printed all the user details like name, email, role and gender. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see how this works. So let me start the Spring Boot application. Well, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Let's go to browser, and here in a new tab just type localhost colon 8080 slash the URL we have given in a handler method. So let me show you. Go to user controller. Here we have given this URL, right? So let me copy this URL and paste it over here and just hit enter. Well, we got a 500 internal server error. So let me quickly see what is the issue. So go to console, and here you can able to see error resolving template. It says template might not exist. So let me check. Well, if you can notice here, handler method returns the view name, that is variable hyphen expression, but we have given the timelip template name as a viable hyphen expression. So make sure that you have to give a same name. Okay, so here let me refactor and let me rename as a variable hyphen expression. Okay, so whatever the view name the handler method returns, that view name should be same as the timelip template that we create under templates folder. Okay, now let me rerun Spring Boot application and let's see how it works now. So go to browser and just refresh, and there we go. You can able to see the user details successfully printed, like username, user email, role and gender. It means that we have successfully used a variable expression to print username, email, role and gender. I hope you understood how to use a variable expressions in a timelip templates. In next lecture, we'll take a look into timelip selection expressions. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into timelip selection expressions. Well, selection expressions are just like variable expressions, except they will be executed on a previously selected object instead of the whole context variables map. For example, if you look at the code snippet over here we have selected a object by using th colon object timelip attribute, and here we are using selection expression to access the selected object attributes. For example, here we are using syntax star within a curly braces. We are passing model object attribute, that is name, email, role, gender. Okay, selection expressions are just like variable expressions, except they will be executed on a previous selected object. So in this example, this user model object is a previously selected object using th colon object timelip attribute. Alright, so whenever you want to use selection expressions, first you need to select the model object using th colon object, and then you can access that model object attributes by using selection expression. Okay, and here is the syntax for selection expressions like star within a curly braces. We just need to pass a model object attributes. Okay, so let's go and let's see how to use selection expressions with an example. So let me go to IntelliJ IDEA, and let's first of all create a handler method. So go to user controller, and within user controller we will define the handler method. So here let me write the comment handler method to handle selection expressions. Okay, so let's write the method public, and then let's give return type of the method is string, and let's give a method name as selection expression. Perfect. Next, let's annotate this method with add get mapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request with the URL selection hyphen expression. Perfect. So whenever we hit this link in the browser, then this handler method will get called, and this handler method will return the model and view. So here we can write the complete URL like http localhost colon 8080 slash, and then this selection hyphen expression. Okay, whenever we hit this link in the browser, then this handler method will get called, and this handler method will return the model and view. Okay, now just pass a model to this method as a parameter. Next, we are going to store the user model object in a model. For that, let's create a user object over here. User equal to new user, and then pass name as a Ramesh and email as a ramesh@gmail.com, and then role as a admin, and then gender as a male. Perfect. Now we have created user model object. Next, let's add this user model object to the model. So let's have model and then let's call its add attribute method and then pass user as a first parameter and actual user model object as a second parameter, and then let's return the view and let's give view name as selection hyphen expression. So here I am using this naming convention in order to demonstrate the relevant topic. Now we have created handler method. This handler method returns a model and TimeLeap template view. Next, let's create this TimeLeap template view and then display this model data. So let me go to templates folder. Within that, let me create a HTML file and let's give name as a selection hyphen expression, and let's design the HTML page. So let's give title as selection expressions. Next, let's define the XML namespace for this HTML page. So go to HTML element and here let's type XML namespace and then :th equal to http and then www.timeleap.org. So in order to use TimeLeap syntax in this HTML file, we have to define XML namespace for TimeLeap at the beginning of this HTML page. Next, go to body. Within the body, let's print the user model object using selection expressions. So here let me have a s2 element to just create a page heading. So let me give page heading as a selection expressions demo, and then let me have a s2 element and let's give a heading as a user details. So we are going to print user details, hence this is the heading. Next, let's have a div. Alright, and in order to use a selection expressions, we have to first define the selected object, isn't it? And in order to define the selected object, we have to use th::object TimeLeap attribute, and then we can use a variable expression in order to point to the model object. So in our case, model object is user, and this user basically comes from the user controller. Well, if you go to user controller, we have a selection expression handler method, and within this handler method we have model, and within this model we have a user as an attribute name and actual user model object as attribute value. In order to access this user model object, we can use this attribute name, right? So that is what we are doing here. We are using variable expression to access user model object. Next, we can use a selection expression to print user model attributes. For example, user model class has name, email, role, gender, right? So let's use selection expressions to access this user model object attributes. So let's go back to selection expression.html file, and within this div, let's have paragraph element, and then let's first print the user name. For that, name : and let's use strong HTML element, and within that let's use th::text TimeLeap attribute. Next, let's use a selection expressions, that is star, within a curly braces just pass a model object attribute, that is name. Okay, so if you can notice here, the syntax for selection expressions star within curly braces, we just need to pass model object attribute. For example, user is a model class, it has attributes name, email, role, gender. So these attributes we are passing to the selection expressions, isn't it? Next, let's print a user email, and then HTML strong element, and then th::text, and then selection expression, that is star within a curly braces, and then email. Okay, so here the previously selected object is user model object, it has attribute email. Next, let me copy this and paste it over here, and let me change from email to role, and let's pass a role attribute to the selection expressions. Next, let me copy this and paste it over here, and here let me change from role to gender, and let's pass a model object attribute, that is gender. Perfect. Now we have used a selection expression to access selected model object attributes. Okay, now let's go and let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see the demo of these selection expressions. So let me stop the server and let me start the Spring Boot application again, and our Spring Boot application is up and running. Let's go to browser, and here we need to pass the URL selection-expressions and hit enter, and there we go. selection expressions demo, and we have printed a user details by using selection expressions. I hope you understood how to use selection expressions in a ThymeLib templates. In next lecture, we will see ThymeLib message expressions. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into ThymeLib message expressions. Well, message expressions let you externalize common text into properties file. Well, instead of repeating the same common text in all the ThymeLib templates, what we can do is we can create one properties file and we can define all the common text in that properties file, and then we can use message expression to access the common text from the properties file. And here is the syntax for message expressions. Hash within a curly braces, we need to pass the message property key. For example, let's say you have a welcome message that you want to show on every view. However, hardcoding this message on all these views is a bad idea. Alright, so overcome to this problem, ThymeLib provides message expressions to externalize these common text in a properties file, and we can use message expressions to access the common text from the properties file. For example, we can create a message.properties file and we can keep these properties like app.name and then value, welcome.message and then value. Okay, so we can keep a key value pair in a properties file and we can use a key to access the value by using message expressions. And if you can notice here the example, hash within curly braces, we pass the key is a app.name, and this key is coming from properties file. Okay, now let me demonstrate the usage of message expressions step by step. So let's go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's first create a one properties file. So go to resources folder. Within that, let's create a file and let's give name as messages.properties. Perfect. And within this properties file, let's define key value pair. For example, let's give key name as app.name and let's give value something like Spring Boot ThymeLib application. This is the app name, and then let's give a welcome message. So let's type key value pair here, welcome dot message is the key, and let's give value as hello, welcome to Spring Boot application, something like that. Next, let's create a handler method that returns the ThymeLib template view. So go to user controller, and within user controller, let's quickly create a handler method. So let me write the comment handler method to handle message expressions request, something like that. Alright, and let's type the method public and the return type of the method is string, and let's give a method name as message expression, and then let's annotate this method with at get mapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request with the URL message hyphen expression. Okay, so whenever user hit this link in the browser, for example this link, then this handler method will get called, and then this handler method will return the message expression ThymeLib template view. So here just return a ThymeLib template view name, that is message hyphen expression. Next, let's go and let's create a message expression ThymeLib template, and then let's see how to use message expressions. So let's go to templates folder and then let's create a HTML file and let's give name as message hyphen expression. Perfect. Let's give title as message expressions. Next, let's define the XML namespace for this HTML page. So go to HTML element and here just type XML namespace :th equal to http and then www.thymelib.org. Okay, perfect. Next, go to body. Within a body, we are going to use a message expression to access the property key. So here just type h1 element and here let me give a page heading something like message expressions demo. Next, let's use h2 element over here, and within h2 element just type th::text ThymeLib attribute and then let's use message expression syntax. The syntax is hash within a curly braces we need to pass property key. For example, if you go to messages.properties file, here we have a property key that is app.name. So let me copy this key and go to message expression.html file and paste it over here. Alright, similarly let's print a welcome message as well. So here let's have h2 element and then th:\text timelip attribute and then message expression syntax hash within curly braces, and just go to message.properties file and just copy this key and go back to message expression page and paste it over here. And notice here the syntax of message expression hash within a curly braces we need to pass a property key here. Okay, and this th:\text timelip attribute, so this attribute will basically evaluate this expression and it will print the result. Okay, now let's go and let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see the demo of this message expressions. So let me start the Spring Boot application. Alright, and go to user controller and just grab this URL and go to browser and just paste this URL and hit enter, and there we go. You can able to see the app name as well as a welcome message successfully printed over here. If you go to our Spring Boot application and go to message.properties file, we have given app name as Spring Boot Timelip application, and if you go to browser and if you can able to see the app name is successfully printed, and go back to our application and go to properties file, and if you can notice the welcome message, hello welcome to Spring Boot application, and go to browser, here you can see hello welcome to Spring Boot application. It means that we have successfully used a message expression to access the properties key value. Okay, if you go back to message expression file, you can see we have used the message expression to access app name as well as welcome message. I hope you understood how to use the message expressions in a Timelip templates. In next lecture, we will see how to use link expressions. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we will take a look into Timelip link expressions. Well, link expressions are meant to build URLs in a Timelip templates. And notice here, this is the syntax for link expressions. At the rate, within a curly braces, we need to pass the link. And notice here, this is the example for link expressions. If you can notice here, we are using at the rate within a curly braces and we are passing the link. Well, in order to build the URLs in a Timelip templates, we use a link expressions, and you can see a couple of examples like we can use a link expression to pass the parameter in a URL. For example, here /message/id, and we can pass the ID dynamically to this URL, and you can notice here we are using link expression to point to the external CSS library. Okay, at the rate within a curly braces and then CSS folder within that demo.css file. Okay, now let's go and let's see how to use a link expressions in an action. So let me go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's first of all define the handler method. So go to user controller and here let's define the handler method. So let me write the comment handler method to handle link expressions. Perfect, and let's create a method periodic, and the return type of the method is string, and let's give a method name as link expression. Alright, and let's go ahead and let's annotate this method with add get mapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request, and let's give URL as a link hyphen expression. Okay, and let's return the Timelip template view, that is link hyphen expression. Okay, perfect. Well, whenever user hit this link in the browser, for example, let me copy this link and paste it over here, and let me change accordingly. So instead of message, just pass link. Okay, so whenever user hit this link in the browser, then this handler method will get called, and this handler method returns link hyphen expression Timelip template view name. Next, let's create this Timelip template, and then we'll see how to use a link expressions. So go to templates folder. Within that, let's create a HTML file. Let's give name as link expression, and then let's give a title something like link expressions. Perfect. Next, let's define the XML namespace for Timelip. So go to HTML element, here just type XML namespace :th and then http www.timelip Next, go to body. Within the body, let's have S2 element to define the page heading. Let's give page heading something like link expressions demo. Perfect. Next, let's use anchor tag, and then let's use a TimeLeap attribute, that is th:/href, and then let's use a link expression syntax here @ well, within a curly braces we need to pass the link, isn't it? So if you go to user controller, we have a handler methods with different links like variable expression, selection expression, message expression, right? So let's go and let's pass these links. So let me copy this variable expression and go back to link expression, and here just paste it slash and then variable expression, and let's give name as a variable expression. Okay, so this is how we can use a link expression to define a link for this anchor tag. Alright, and this th:/href TimeLeap attribute will evaluate this link expression. Alright, so similarly what we'll do, we'll define one more link using link expression. So let's type anchor tag over here, and then let's use th:/href, and then let's use a link expression syntax @ within a curly braces, just pass the URL something like selection -expression. Perfect. And let's give a name to the link something like selection expression. Perfect. Now let me run the Spring Boot application and let's see how this works. Let's go to browser and let's type localhost 8080/link-expression and hit enter, and here you can see variable link, okay, and selection link. Well, if you click on this variable expression link, it will call variable expression handler method, and if you click on selection expression, it will call selection expression handler method. It means that we have successfully defined the links using link expression. Now let's see how to pass a parameter to the link using link expressions. So in order to define the parameter, we need to pass a parameter to the model. So go to user controller and go to link expression handler method over here, and here let's pass the model to this method, and let's pass some data to the model dot, let's use add attribute, and then let's pass ID and let's give value as a 1. Next, let's see how to pass this ID as a parameter to the link using link expressions. So let's go back to link expression.html file, and here let me have paragraph element, and then within that let me have a anchor tag, and within that let's have a TimeLeap attribute th:/href. Alright, and let's use a link expression syntax @ within a curly braces, just pass the link. So link is link-expression, and then we pass a parameter as ID to this link. So let me copy this link-expression, and let's go to link expression.html file, paste it over here, and in order to pass the parameter in this link, we use curly braces. Within a curly braces, we pass the parameter name, that is ID, and we need to pass the value to this ID dynamically, isn't it? For that, here is a syntax: open and close braces, ID equal to, well, we have stored the ID value in a model. For example, if you go to user controller, we have stored ID value in a model by using this attribute name. So let's go and let's use a variable expression to access a model data. So let's go to link expression, and here let's use a variable expression, that is $ within a curly braces, just pass ID. Next, let's give name to the link. Let's say link with parameter. Alright, perfect. Now let's rerun our Spring Boot application and let's see how this works. Well, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Let's go to browser and let's refresh, and you can see here we have a link with parameter link. So go ahead and click on this link, and notice here the ID is successfully passed in the URL. Okay, it means that we have successfully defined the URL that has a parameter by using link expressions. Okay, so let's say if we have a requirement to create a link in a TimeLeap template and you need to pass a parameter to that link, then you can go ahead and use this link expression syntax. Okay, next let's see how to use a link expression to point to the external CSS file. So let's say you have a CSS file inside this static folder. So let me create one more folder within this static folder. So let's say CSS. Within this CSS folder, let me create one file. Let's say demo.css. Let's write some code. So let me provide some styling for this anchor tag. So let's say font size. Let's give font size as a 25 pixel. Now let's go and let's see how to use a link expressions to point to the external CSS file. So here, go to title. After that, let's have a link element, and then let's have a link expression. So let me close this link, and then here th:/href timelip attribute, and then link expression syntax @ within a curly braces slash, and then CSS, and then demo.css. So this is how we use a link expression to point to the external CSS library. Okay, and notice here slash is meant for here a root. Okay, so this will point to the context of our Spring Boot application. So don't forget this slash. This slash means here root, and then followed by the folder name is CSS, and then within that folder we have demo.css file. Okay, perfect. Next, well, this is a style sheet. For that, let's have a style sheet value here. Perfect. Now we have used link expression to point to the external CSS file. Okay, now let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see how this works. Well, go to browser and let's refresh this link, that is localhost 8080/link expression, and just right click on this page, inspect, and go to network, and in a network section you can able to see demo.css. So just right click on this file and click on open in a new tab, and there we go. You can able to see font size 25 pixel. It means that we have successfully used link expressions to point to the external CSS file in our Thymeleaf template. And if you can notice here, the font size of these links, it becomes a 25 pixel because we have defined a font size 25 pixel for the anchor tag element, isn't it? It means that we have successfully used a link expression to define a different URLs over here. I hope you understood how to use a link expressions in a Thymeleaf templates. In next lecture, we'll see how to use fragment expressions. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into fragment expressions. Well, fragment expressions are an easy way to represent fragments of a markup and move them around templates. Well, consider the example over here. In typical web applications, we create a common piece of code, like we create a header, footer, and we'll include them in all the HTML pages, isn't it? So instead of adding the same code in all the HTML files, what we can do is we can make this common code as a fragment, and then we can use fragment expressions to include this fragment in a respective HTML pages. Well, here is the syntax for fragment expression. This is a tiddly symbol. Within a curly braces, we pass the fragment selector name. And here you can see there are three basic ways to include content from the fragment. Well, here are the three Thymeleaf attributes: th::insert, th::replace, th::include. Well, th::insert will insert the content inside the current tag, and the th::replace will replace the current tag with the tag defining the fragment. And this th::include Thymeleaf attribute is deprecated, so we can focus on these two Thymeleaf attributes. Okay, so most of the time developers uses th::replace Thymeleaf attributes to replace the current tag with the tag defining the fragment. Okay, we'll see an example how we can use th::replace and th::insert attributes to insert the fragment in a Thymeleaf templates. Okay, so we'll take this example, like we'll create a header and footer as a fragment, and we'll include these fragments using fragment expressions. So let's go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's create the example step by step. So let's go to templates folder and let's create the fragments first. So within templates folder, let me create one folder. Let's call it as common, and within a common folder, let's define header and footer Thymeleaf template. So let me create HTML file and let me give name as header. Okay, and let's write the code for this header.html file. Well, here let me give title as a header, and next let's define the XML namespace for Thymeleaf at the beginning of this HTML page. So here just type XML namespace th equal to http and then www.thymeleaf timelib.org. Now we have defined the XML namespace for timelib. Next, go to body. Within the body, we'll write a piece of code and then we'll make it as a fragment. So let's create a div. Alright, and let's create a h2 element over here, and then let's use heading as a header part, something like that. And after this, let's draw a horizontal line using tr HTML element over here, and let's make this div as a fragment. So in order to make this piece of code as a fragment, we can use th:\fragment timelib attribute. So here when I use th:\fragment timelib attribute to define this piece of code as a fragment, and let's give fragment selector name as a header. Perfect. Now we have defined this piece of code as a fragment, and this fragment we can include in any HTML file in our application. Okay, now similarly let's define a fragment for footer. So go to common folder, right click on it, new, and then HTML file, and then let's use file name as footer, and let's use title as a footer, and let's define the XML namespace for timelib. XML namespace :th equal to http and then www.timelib.org. Next, go to body. Within our body, let's write a piece of code and let's make it as a fragment. So here let me create a div. Alright, and within a div let me create a h1 element, and let's add some heading like footer part, something like that. Well, before this h1 heading, let's add a horizontal line by using hr element. Next, let's make this piece of code as a fragment by using th:\fragment timelib attribute. So go to div, here just type th:\fragment, and let's use fragment selector name as a footer. Now we can include this fragment in a timelib HTML pages. Okay, now we have defined header and footer fragments. Next, let's create a handler method that will return the timelib HTML page view. So go to user controller, and here let me write the comment handler method to handle fragment expression request. Okay, so let's write the method public, and let's use return type of the method is string, and let's use method name as fragment expression, and let's annotate this method with @getMapping annotation to handle http get request with the URL fragment hyphen expression. Okay, perfect. Next, this handler method will return the timelib template view name, that is fragment hyphen expression. Perfect. Now we have created handler method. It returns a fragment selection timelib template view. Next, let's create this timelib template and let's use a fragment expressions. So go to templates folder. Within templates folder, let's create a HTML file and let's use name as a fragment expression. Alright, and let's use title as fragment expressions. Perfect. And go to body. Before that, let's define the XML namespace. Just type XML namespace :th equal to http and then www.timelib.org. Next, go to body. Within the body, let's have a h1 element to define the heading. So let's use heading as fragment expressions demo. Perfect. Next, let's create a div. Well, in order to insert a fragment, we have a couple of timelib attributes. For example, if you can see here, we have th:\insert timelib attribute as well as th:\replace timelib attribute. So this th:\insert timelib attribute will insert the content inside the current tag, and this th:\replace attribute will replace the current tag with the tag defining the fragment. So let's first see how to use th:\replace timelib attribute, and then later we will see how to use th:\insert timelib attribute. Alright, and this th:\replace attribute will replace the current div tag with the tag defining the fragment. For example, if you go back to IntelliJ IDEA and go to this file, and here we are defining the div, okay, and th:\replace timelib attribute will replace this div and it will put the fragment content. Okay, so here within a div, let's use th:\ replace TimeLeap attribute, and then we can use a fragment expressions. So here is a syntax. This is a tiddly symbol, and then within a curly braces we need to pass the fragment selector name. So if you can notice here, we have a common folder. Within that we have header.html as well as footer.html. okay, so here is a syntax, tiddly symbol within a curly braces. We need to pass the folder name that is common. Within a common folder we have header.html, so slash header, after that double colon expression, and then we need to provide a fragment selector name. Well, we have given a fragment selector name as a header, right? For example, if you go to header.html file, here we have given header as a fragment selector name for this div, isn't it? So let me copy this fragment selector name and let's go back to fragment expression, and here let's paste it. Okay, so this is the syntax to use a fragment expression to insert a fragment. Well, here we are using th colon replace TimeLeap attribute. This attribute will replace this div with a fragment content. For example, if you go to header.html file, we have this div, right? So th colon replace TimeLeap attribute will replace the current div with this fragment div. Okay, it won't keep this div inside this div. Okay, so th colon replace will simply replace this div with this fragment div. Okay, but th colon insert TimeLeap attribute, what it does, it will insert this fragment div inside this div. Okay, so I hope you understood the difference between th colon replace and th colon insert. So th colon replace will replace the current div with the fragment div, and th colon insert TimeLeap attribute will insert the fragment div inside this div. It won't replace the current div. Okay, so most of the time we use th colon replace TimeLeap attribute with fragment expressions. Okay, next similarly let's insert a footer fragment using fragment expressions. So after this div, let's have some content. For that, let's have a div, and then let's have a h1 element, and let's put some heading over here. Let's say page body. Perfect. And after this div, let's have one more div, and let's use th colon replace TimeLeap attribute. Next, let's use fragment expression to insert a fragment. So here is a syntax, tiddly symbol within a curly braces. We need to pass the fragment. So we have a common folder. Within that we have a footer, footer TimeLeap template. If you can notice here, we have a common folder. Within that footer TimeLeap template that we are giving here, and then after that we have a double colon expression, and then fragment selector name, that is footer. Well, if you go to footer.html file, we have given fragment selector name as a footer, right? So this name we are providing over here. Okay, now we have used th colon replace TimeLeap attribute to insert a footer fragment using fragment expression over here. Now let's go ahead and let's run our Spring Boot application, and let's see the demo of fragment expressions. So let me start the Spring Boot application again. Well, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Let's go to browser, and in our browser just type localhost colon 8080 / fragment hyphen expression and hit enter, and there we go, fragment expressions demo. After that we have header part, and then page body and footer part, and this header part is basically a header fragment, and after that this is a actual page body, and after that we have footer fragment. It means that we have successfully used fragment expressions to insert a fragments in this TimeLeap template. Alright, this is how we can use a fragment expressions to insert a fragments in a TimeLeap templates. Alright, I hope you understood how to use fragment expressions to insert a fragments in a TimeLeap templates. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into th colon text TimeLeap attribute. Well, this attribute is responsible for displaying text that is evaluated from the expression inside it. For example, if you can see this code snippet over here, we are using th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then here we are using variable expression, that is dollar within a curly braces. We are passing message attribute name. Alright, so basically th colon text TimeLeap attribute, it will evaluate this variable expression and it will print the result as a text. Alright, And if you can notice here, this hello good morning text, so this is basically dummy data. Well, whenever th colon text TimeLeap attribute fail to evaluate this expression, then it will print this hello good morning dummy data. Alright, th colon text attribute which evaluates its value expression and sets the result as a body of the host tag, effectively replacing hello good morning text we can see in the code. th colon text TimeLeap attribute, it will evaluate this expression and it will set the result of this expression in a body of this host tag, and here host tag is nothing but the paragraph element. Alright, and if there are any issue or if there is anything went wrong while evaluating this expression, then this th colon text TimeLeap attribute will print this dummy data, that is hello good morning. Now let's go ahead and let's see a couple of examples for this th colon text TimeLeap attribute. Well, let me go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's go to variable expression.html file, and within this file here, if you can notice here, we are using th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then here we are using variable expression. Well, th colon text TimeLeap attribute will evaluate this variable expression and it will set the result of this expression as a body for this strong tag. Alright, so this is how we can use th colon text attribute to evaluate the variable expression. Next, if you go to selection expression.html file, here we are using th colon text attribute with selection expression. It means th colon text attribute will evaluate this selection expression and it will set the result of this expression as a body to this strong HTML tag. Next, let's go to message expression.html file, and here if you can notice here, we are using th colon text TimeLeap attribute to evaluate message expression. Okay, so this th colon text attribute will evaluate this message expression and it will set the result of this expression as a body to this h2 element tag. Alright, so these are the couple of examples for th colon text TimeLeap attribute. Well, basically we use th colon text TimeLeap attribute to evaluate TimeLeap expression and it will set the result of that expression as a body of the host tag. Okay, I hope you understood how we can use a th colon text TimeLeap attribute in a TimeLeap templates. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into th colon each TimeLeap attribute. Well, in TimeLeap, iteration or looping is achieved by using th colon each TimeLeap attribute. Well, in Java, we use a for loop or for each loop to iterate over a list of elements. Well, in Java, we use for loop or for each loop to iterate over a list of elements, right? So similar to that, TimeLeap provides th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate or loop over a list of elements. Alright, one interesting thing about this attribute is that it will accept and iterate over a different data types such as list, set, map, array. It means that we can use th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over different data types such as list of elements, set of elements, map of elements, and array of elements. Alright, and consider the example over here. We have a list of users, and this list of users basically comes from Spring MVC controller, and here we are using th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of users. And if you can notice here, this user is basically a local variable and the scope of this user local variable is up to this tr element. We cannot access this user local variable outside this tr element. Alright, and here if you can notice here, we are using variable expression to access user model attribute such as name, email, role, and gender. Alright, so just remember, in TimeLeap, the iteration or looping is achieved by using th colon each TimeLeap attribute, and in this example, we are iterating over a list of users using th colon each TimeLeap attribute. Now let's take a look into th colon each TimeLeap attribute status variable. Well, TimeLeap also enables a useful mechanism to keep track of the iteration process via status variable. Well, status variable is pretty useful because we can keep track of each iteration process. For example, consider the code snippet over here. Here we are iterating over a list of users using th colon each TimeLeap attribute, and here is a syntax to define status variable for th colon each TimeLeap attribute. We just need to provide a comma followed by status variable name. Alright, and status variable has multiple properties. For example, count is one of the property. We can use count property to count the iteration process. Alright, so just remember, we can use a status variable of this th colon each attribute to keep track of each iteration process. Well, this status variable provides a lot of properties. For example, if you can notice here, the status variable provides the following properties: index, count, size, even or odd, post and last. Index property we can use to get the current iteration index starting with 0, and we can use count property to count the number of elements processed so far. We can use size property to get the total number of elements in the list, and we can use even or odd property to check if the current iteration index is even or odd. Next we can use post property to check if the current iteration is post 1. Next we use last property to check if the current iteration is last 1. And these are the status variables provided properties. I am going to demonstrate the usage of all these status variable properties with an example. Okay, now let's head over to the IntelliJ IDEA and let me demonstrate the usage of th:each TimeLeap attribute and status variable properties. So let me go to IntelliJ IDEA. Well, let's go ahead and let's first create a handler method that will return the TimeLeap template. So go to user controller. Within a user controller, we are going to write the handler method. So here let's type public, and then let's give return type of the method as a string, and let's give method name as users. And let's annotate this method with add get mapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request with the URL users. Perfect. Next, let's pass model as a parameter to this method. Alright, within this method, we will create a list of users and we will add them to the model, because in TimeLeap template we need to iterate over list of users. Hence, let's create a list of users over here. So let me create a user object first. Let's say admin equal to new user, and let's give name as a admin and email ID as a admin @gmail.com, and let's give a role as admin, and then gender as a male. Perfect. So let me maximize it. Now we have created one user. Similarly, let's create another user Ramesh equal to new user, and let's give name as a Ramesh and email as ramesh@gmail.com, and next let's give role as user, and then gender let's give a male. Perfect. Now we have created second user. Let's create one more user. Let's say Meena equal to new user, and let's give name as Meena, and then email ID as meena@gmail.com, and next let's give role as a user, and then gender female. Perfect. Now we have created 3 users. Next, let's add them to the list. So here let me create a list of type user, and this is a users equal to new array list. Perfect. And let's use users.add method to add a element. So let's add admin, and then users dot add Ramesh, and then users dot add Meena. Perfect. Now we have added 3 users to the list. Next, let's add this list to the model. So let's have model dot add attribute method. Let's pass attribute name as users and attribute value as a list of users object. Perfect. Now we have added data to the model. Next, we need to return the view. For that, here let me give a view name as users. Perfect. Next, let's create a users TimeLeap template, and then we'll display this model data in a user TimeLeap template. So let's go to templates folder, and within a templates folder, let's create a HTML file and let's name it as users. Alright, let's give title something like iteration in TimeLeap. Perfect. Next, let's define the XML namespace for TimeLeap at the beginning of this HTML page. So go to HTML element, and here let's type XML namespace :th equal to http and then TimeLeap www.timeleap.org. Perfect. Now we have defined the XML namespace for TimeLeap. Next, go to body. Within a body, let's have a table, and then within a table let's create a table heading, and then let's have a table row, and let's define table columns over here. Let's give table column as a name. Next, second table column as a email, and next third table column name as role, and then the fourth table column name as gender. Now we have added columns to the table. Next, let's design the table body. So here let's type table body, and within table body let's have a table row, and within a table row element let's use th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of users. And here is a syntax for th colon each TimeLeap attribute equal to, and let's have a local variable name. Let's do user and then colon, and let's use a variable expression in order to access the model object. So here dollar within a curly braces, just pass users attribute name. Well, this users attribute name is coming from the Spring MVC controller. If you go to user controller over here we have written users handler method. Within that we have used a model.add attribute to add a model data. So we have used attribute name as users and attribute value as a list of users, and in order to access this list of users we have to use this attribute name, that is users. So these users we are using over here. Okay, perfect. Now we have used th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of users. Next, let's print each user. So within tr element let's use td element, and next let's use th colon text TimeLeap attribute to evaluate the expression and print the result. So here let's use a variable expression dollar within a curly braces user dot, it has an attribute that is name. Well, if you go to user model class, it has attributes name, email, role, gender. So we are accessing these user model attributes using variable expression over here. Okay, similarly let's print user model object email, role and gender. So here let's have a td element, and then let's use th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then dollar within a curly braces user dot email. Next, let's print a role. For that let's have a td element over here, and then th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then dollar within a curly braces user dot role. Next, let's print a gender. For that let's have a td element, and then th colon text, and then dollar within a curly braces user dot gender. Perfect. Now we have printed user name, email, role and gender. Okay, now let's go and let's run the Spring Boot application, and let's see how this th colon each TimeLeap attribute works. So here our Spring Boot application is up and running. Next, let's go to browser. In a new tab, just type localhost colon 8080 / users and hit enter, and there we go. We got a list of users in a table, but the table don't have border, that's why it is looking like this. So let me add a border to the table. So go to table element here and just have a border equal to 1, and let me rerun the Spring Boot application. Alright, and let's go to browser and let's refresh our application, and there we go. You can able to see now the table looks good, isn't it? It means that we have successfully used th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of users, and this is how we use th colon each attribute. Okay, so the syntax is user, so local variable colon and then list of users. Alright, so in Java we basically use for each loop to iterate over a list of elements. So similar to that, TimeLeap provides th colon each attribute to iterate over a list of elements, and the syntax looks same, isn't it? Well, in next lecture I am going to demonstrate the usage of status variable of this th colon each TimeLeap attribute. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture I have demonstrated th colon each TimeLeap attribute. In this lecture we will take a look into th colon each attribute status variable. Well, TimeLeap also enables a useful mechanism to keep track of the iteration process via status variable. For example, we need to specify status variable like this. Alright, so just we need to put a comma, after that a status variable name, and status variable provides a different properties like count property to get a current count of the iteration process. If you can notice here, status variable provides a couple of properties like index, count, size, even or odd, post and last. So let me go ahead and let me demonstrate the usage of all these status variable properties. So let me go to IntelliJ IDEA and let me go to users.html file over here, and here let me define the status variable. Well, in order to use status variable, here is the syntax. After this user local variable, just put the comma and then give the status variable name. For example, user stat. You can give any name that you want, but here I am giving user stat. Next, let's go and let's use this status variable properties. Well, here for example, let's say I want to add one more column to print the serial number. For example, let's say th and then serial number. So in order to get the serial number, we can use status variable count property. For example, here add one more td element and then let's use th colon text timelip attribute, and then let's use a variable expression, and within a variable expression just pass the status variable and just call its property, that is count property. So this will display a current count of the iteration process. Now let's go ahead and let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see how this status variable count property works. So let me start the Spring Boot application. Well, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Let's go to browser. In a browser, just type localhost :8080/users and hit enter, and there we go. You can able to see the serial number column. It has 1, 2, 3. Okay, whenever you want to print the serial number in a table, you can go ahead and use this status variable count property. Okay, so next let me demonstrate the usage of other status variable properties. For example, let me demonstrate index, size, even or odd, first and last. So let me add a appropriate column over here. So let me add one more column and let me call it as index, and let's print a data for this column. So here let's add a td element and then th colon text, and let's use variable expression and then status variable user stat and then index property. Okay, next let me add one more column and let's call it as even. Perfect, and let me print the data for this column. So let me copy this and paste it over here, and let's change the property from index to even, and let me add one more column and let's call it as odd. Perfect, and let me print the data for this column. So let me copy this td element and paste it over here, and let me change the property from even to odd. Next let me add one more column and let's call it as first. Next let me print the data for this first column. So here let me copy this td element and paste it over here, and let me change the status variable property from odd to first. Next let's add one more column and let's call it as last, and here let me copy this td element and let me print the data for this last column. Perfect, now we have used all the properties of status variable like count, index, even or odd, post and last. Now let's go and let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see the usage of these status variable properties. So let me stop the existing server and let me start the Spring Boot application. And next let's go to browser and just refresh here, and there we go. Serial number 1, 2, 3, index. Well, index property returns the current iteration index starting with 0, hence 0, 1, 2, 3. And this 1 is not a even, hence false. 2 is a even, hence it is true. 3 is not even, hence it is false. Next 1 is odd, hence it is true. 2 is not odd, hence it is false. And 3 is odd, hence it is true. And 1 is true, hence the first is true. Next 2 is not a first, hence it is false, and 3 is not a first, hence it is false. And last 3 is a last, hence it is true. And name, email, role, gender. It means that all the properties of status variables are working as expected. I hope you understood how to use th::each timelip attribute to iterate over a list of elements in timelip templates, and also I hope you understood how to use th::each timelip attribute status variable properties as well. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into timelip if and unless attributes. Well, probably in Java you have used if else statements, right? So similar to that, timelip provides if and unless attributes to perform if else conditions. Alright. Well, if and unless attributes allows us to render an HTML element depending on provided condition. And if you look at the syntax over here, th colon if attribute, and then we add a condition. If this condition is true, then it will print a true, unless it will print false. Okay, and here th colon unless is basically a negativeness of th colon if attribute. It means th colon unless attribute is opposite to th colon if attribute. Well, let's understand more about if and unless attributes with an example. Well, if you can look at the code snippet over here we are using th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of users, and here we are using if and unless attributes to display the links based on the condition. Okay, so here you can see th colon if user dot role equal to admin. It means if user role is admin, then we will print update link, and if user role is admin, then we will print delete link, unless we will print view link. It means that if the user is admin, then we will print update and delete links. If the user is not admin, then we will print view link. Okay, so this th colon unless attribute is a negativeness of if TimeLeap attribute. So let's go and let's see this if and unless TimeLeap attribute example in an action. So let me go to IntelliJ IDEA and let me demonstrate the usage of if and unless TimeLeap attribute, so that you will able to understand how you can use if and unless TimeLeap attributes in a TimeLeap templates. So first of all, go to user controller and let's write the handler method. So go to at the bottom, and here let me quickly write the handler method. So let's type public, and let's give return type of the method is string, and let's give method name as if unless. Alright, and let's go and let's annotate this method with at get mapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request, and let's pass the URL if hyphen unless. Well, in order to demonstrate if unless concepts, I am going to give a URL and method name like this. Alright, next let's pass a model as a parameter to this method. Next, within this handler method, we need to create a list of users, and if you can notice this users handler method, it has already a list of users. Okay, so let me go ahead and let me copy this piece of code and let me paste within this handler method, and here let's return a view name, for example if hyphen unless. Perfect. Now we have created a handler method to handle HTTP GET request with a URL if unless, and within this handler method we have created a list of users, and we have added to the model, and this handler method returns if unless TimeLeap template view name. Next, let's go and let's create if unless TimeLeap template, and let's display the model data, and then we'll use if and unless TimeLeap attributes. So let's go to templates folder. Within that, let's create a HTML file, and let's give name as if unless, and hit enter, and let's give title as if unless attributes, and let's go ahead and let's define the XML namespace for TimeLeap. So go to this HTML element, and here just type XML namespace :th, and then let's have a HTTP, and then www.timeleap.org. Perfect. Next, go to body. Within the body, let's design the HTML table. For that, let's have a table element over here, and let's give border for this table, let's say 1, and within this table let's have a table header, and within table header let's have a table row element, and within table row element let's have a table columns. So let's give table column as name, and let's give one more table column as email, and let's give one more table column name as role. Perfect. Next, let's give one more table column name as actions. Perfect. Now we have defined a columns for the table. Next, let's design the table body. So here let's have table body element, and within table body element let's have table row element, and then let's go and let's use th colon each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of users. So here is the syntax: th colon each attribute, and then within a double quote user local variable, and then colon, and let's use variable expression, and then pass users. Well, this users is coming from user controller. For example, if you go to user controller, here we have handler method if unless. Within that we have model.add attribute method, and we have passed attribute name and attribute value, and attribute value is a list of users. In order to get this list of users, we have to use this attribute name, that is users, and this users we are using in a here in a th colon each TimeLeap attribute. Okay, now let's go and let's print each user. So within a table row, let's have a table data element, and then let's use th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then let's use variable expression, and then user dot name. Next let's print user email as well. For that let's use td element and then th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then dollar within a curly braces user dot email. Perfect. Next td and then th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and then let's use a variable expression user dot role. Okay, next we need to display the actions. For that let's have td element, and within this td element we need to display the links, action links based on the if and unless TimeLeap attributes. So here let me have an anchor tag, and then let me add a link first, th colon href, and let's use a link expression at the rate within a curly braces. So let me add a link something like update, and here let's use a if condition by using th colon if TimeLeap attribute, th colon if TimeLeap attribute, and then let's use a variable expression dollar within a curly braces user dot role. Let's say if this user dot role is equal to admin, then print update link. Perfect. Similarly, let me copy this link and paste it over here, and let me change the link from update to delete, and here if the user role is admin, then we'll display delete link. Next let's print the view link. So let me copy this anchor tag and paste it over here, and let me change the URL from delete to view, and here instead of th colon if we're gonna use th colon unless. Well, th colon unless is basically negativeness of if TimeLeap attribute. It means unless is basically opposite to if condition. It means if the user role is not admin, then we'll display view link over here. Okay, great. Now we have used if and unless TimeLeap attributes in a TimeLeap template. Next let's go and let's run our Spring Boot application, and let's see how this if and unless TimeLeap attribute works. So let me start the Spring Boot application, and if you go to user controller, we have used if unless link to access this handler method. So let me copy this link and go to browser, and in a new tab just type localhost colon 8080 slash if hyphen unless, hit enter, and there we go. You can able to see here admin user has a role admin, that's why admin can able to see update and delete link. Ramesh user not admin, that's why Ramesh user can able to see only view link. Meena is not admin user, that's why Meena can able to see only view link. And if you can compare with the code, go to if unless HTML page. If the user role is admin, then display update and delete links, and if the user role is not admin, then display view link. Okay, so this th colon unless attribute is a negativeness or opposite of this th colon if TimeLeap attribute. That's why you can able to see the result. Admin has a role admin, that's why admin can able to see update delete link. Ramesh and Meena, so these are the users not admin, that's why they can able to see view link in the actions column. Well, if and unless attributes allows us to render an HTML element depending on a provided condition, and in our example we have used if and unless TimeLeap attribute to display the respective HTML elements. If the user role is admin, then we'll display these two links. If the user role is not admin, then we'll display this view link. Okay, I hope you understood the usage of if and unless TimeLeap attributes in a TimeLeap templates. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll take a look into switch case statement in TimeLeap templates. Well, probably in Java you have used switch case statements, isn't it? Similar to that, TimeLeap provides th colon switch and th colon case attributes to perform switch case condition in TimeLeap templates. In this lecture, I am going to demonstrate the usage of th colon switch and th colon case TimeLeap attributes to perform switch case condition in TimeLeap templates. Well, if there are more than two possible results of an expression, we can use switch and case attributes for a conditional rendering of the HTML elements. For example, consider this code snippet over here. Here we are using th colon switch TimeLeap attribute to evaluate this condition, that is user.role. If the user role is admin, then this case will execute and this will print user is administrator. And if none of the case is matched, then this default case will execute. And in TimeLeap we can use star to denote this case as a default case. So this is pretty simple. If you have already used switch case in Java, then you will easily understand this switch case in TimeLeap as well. Here we have used th colon switch condition to evaluate this expression. If this expression will match any of the cases, then that respective cases will execute. Okay, now let me demonstrate the usage of switch and case TimeLeap attributes in an action. So let's go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's go to user controller over here, and here let me write the handler method first. So let's type public and let's give return type of the method as a string, and here let me give method name as switch case, and let's annotate this method with @getMapping annotation to handle HTTP GET request with the URL switch-case, and let's pass a model as a parameter to this method. Alright, so here let me create a user object, user equal to new user, and let's pass parameter to this constructor. So name, let's give Ramesh, and then email, let's give ramesh@gmail.com, and let's give role as admin, and then let's give gender as a male. Now we have created a user. Next, let's add this user to the model. For that, model dot add attribute, and then attribute name as a user and attribute value as an actual user object. Perfect. Next, let's return the view. So let me give view name as switch-case. Perfect. Now we have created handler method. It will handle HTTP GET request with the URL switch-case, and within this handler method we have created user object and we have added it to the model, and this handler method returns switch-case TimeLeap template view name. Next, let's go and let's create this switch case TimeLeap template, and let's display the model data. So let's go to templates folder. Within that, let's create a HTML file and let's give name as switch-case and hit enter, and let's give title as switch case condition, something like that, and let's define the XML namespace for TimeLeap. So go to HTML element, and here at the beginning just type XML namespace :th equal to http and then www.timeleap.org. Perfect. Next, go to body. Within a body, let's have h1 header element, and let's provide the page heading something like switch case TimeLeap attributes demo, something like that. Perfect. Next, let's use s3 heading element over here, and within that let's use th colon text TimeLeap attribute, and let's print the username. For that, let's use a variable expression dollar within a curly braces user dot name. Well, this user we are getting from the Spring MVC controller. For example, if you go to user controller and go to switch case handler method, within that we have model dot add attribute, and we have used attribute name as a user, attribute value as actual user object. In order to get this actual user object, we are using attribute name called user. So this user we are using over here. Okay, user dot name. So name is basically attribute of this user model class. For example, if you go to user model class, it has name, email, role, gender, right? So this name we are calling over here, user dot name. Next, let's go and let's use TimeLeap switch and case attributes. So here just have a div, and within a div let's use th colon switch TimeLeap attribute, and let's add a condition Within a double quote, let's have a variable expression dollar and then user dot role. Now we have used th colon switch TimeLeap attribute to get the user role. Next we need to use switch case. So here within this div, let's have a paragraph element and then let's use th colon case TimeLeap attribute, and then within a double quote, within a single quote, let's pass admin. Let's say if this user role match to this admin case, then we'll print user is a admin user, something like that. And then let's have one more paragraph element over here and then th colon case, and then if the user role is a user, then what will print? Will print user is a normal user. Next let's have a default case. For that let's have a paragraph element and then th colon case TimeLeap attribute, and then in order to represent a default case we have to use star over here, and then let's print user is something else, something like that. Perfect. Now we have used switch and case TimeLeap attributes. Next let's go and let's run the Spring Boot application and let's see how this switch and case TimeLeap attribute works. So let me start the Spring Boot application again. Alright, and if you can go to user controller, we have used switch hyphen case a URL to call this handler method, right? So let me copy this switch hyphen case URL and let's go to browser, and here just type localhost :8080 / switch hyphen case and hit enter, and there we go. You can able to see Ramesh user is a admin user, that's why user is a admin user text is printed over here. Well, if you can see the code over here, if the user role is admin, then this text will be printed, that is user is a admin user, and you can see user is a admin user. Now let me change the role. So go to user controller and here let me change the role from admin to user, and let me restart Spring Boot application. Alright, and let's go to browser and let me refresh, and now you can able to see user is a normal user. Next let's print the default case. So here let me change the role from user to guest. So this guest user is not exist in our application, so it will print the default case, right? So let me start the Spring Boot application. Alright, let's go to browser and refresh, and you can able to see user is something else. So this is basically text which we have added in a default case. Okay, if you see the code over here, we have added user is something else in a default case. Okay, this is how we use switch and case TimeLeap attributes to perform switch case condition in a TimeLeap templates. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In this section of the lectures, we will take a look into TimeLeap form handling. Well, let's take a look into the important TimeLeap attributes that we can use while handling the forms. Well, here we have th colon action, th colon object, th colon field. So these are the three important TimeLeap attributes that we use while handling the forms. The th colon action attribute is used to define the action URL for form. This attribute replaces the HTML action attribute of the form. Well, when we design the plain HTML form, then we use a action attribute of the form, right? Well, when TimeLeap engine will process the th colon action attribute, it will replace this attribute with the HTML action attribute of the form. Next, we have th colon object attribute. This attribute is used to bind the fields of the form to the model object. For example, consider we have a code snippet over here. So basically this is the form, and within this form we have used TimeLeap attributes such as th colon object, th colon action and th colon field. The th colon action attribute here we are using to define the action URL for this form, and TimeLeap engine will process the th colon action attribute and it will replace us with HTML action attribute of the form. Next we have th colon object attribute. So this attribute is used to point to the model class object, and if you can see here, this is the model class object, that is user form, and it has fields like name, email, password, gender, address, married and profession. Okay, so th colon object attribute is used to point to this model class object, and this model class object is used to store the form data. Well, whenever user fill up this form and submit this form, then this form data will be stored in this user form model object. Okay, and this th colon object attribute is used to point to this model class object. Okay, next we have th colon field attribute. This attribute is used to point to the field name of the model object. For example, here we are using th colon field attribute to point to the model class object attribute, that is name. Well, if you can notice here, user form is a model class and it has attributes like name, email, password, gender, address, merit, profession, and here we are using th colon field attribute to point to the model class object attributes. Okay, so whenever user enter the data in this input text field, then that data will be stored in this model class attribute, that is name. So similarly, you can able to see here we are using th colon field attribute to point to the email field of this model class object, and whenever user enter the email in this input text field, then that email value will be stored in this email model class attribute. Similarly, you can able to see we are using th colon field attribute to point to the password field of this model class object, and here you can see we are using th colon field attribute to point to the profession field of model class object, and here again we are using th colon field attribute to point to the address attribute of model class object. Well, basically we use th colon field ThymeLib attribute to point to the field name of the model class object, and we use this field name to bind the input form data. Alright, so these are the three important ThymeLib attributes that we use while handling the forms in a ThymeLib template. In next lecture, we will create a handler method to handle user registration request, and in upcoming lectures we will design the user registration form, and we will see the example for input text field and password text field and selection box text field, text area and radio box. Okay, we'll see how to get a data by using all these form controls. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture we have seen important ThymeLib attributes that we use while designing the forms in a ThymeLib templates. Well, here are the important ThymeLib attributes like th colon action, th colon object and th colon field. Th colon action attribute is used to define the action URL for the form, and this attribute replaces the HTML action attribute of the form, and th colon object attribute is used to bind the fields of the form to the model object, and th colon field attribute points to the field name of the model object. Alright, we will understand more about these ThymeLib attributes in upcoming lectures. In this lecture, what we will do, we will create a handler method to handle user register request, and in next lecture we will design user registration form. So let's go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's quickly create a handler method. So go to controller package, let's create a new controller. So right click, new, and then choose Java class, and let's give class name as form controller. Perfect. Let's annotate this class with add controller annotation. Well, whenever we annotate a class with add controller annotation, then this class becomes a Spring MVC controller and it is capable to handle HTTP request. Next, within this controller, let's write a handler method to handle user register request. So let me write the comment over here, handler method to handle user registration page request. Okay, perfect. So let's type public, and string is the return type of the method, and let's give method name something like user registration page. Alright, and let's annotate this method with add get mapping annotation to handle HTTP get request, and let's give URL as a register. Okay, perfect. And let's pass a model as a parameter to this method. Alright, great. Next, here we need to create a model class object. Okay, so let's first create a model class and then we'll come back to this handler method. So here go to model package, right click on it, new, and then choose Java class, and let's give class name as a user form. Next, let's define the instance variables for this class. So just type private and then string and then username, and then private string user email, and then private string password, next private string, and then gender, private, string address, and then private, boolean. Let's give married as a field name, and then private string profession. Perfect. Now we have defined the instance variables for this user form class. Next, let's go and let's create a getter setter method. So right click, generate, and choose getter and setter, and select all the fields and click on OK. Now we have created getter setter methods for these instance variables. Next, let's go back to our handler method. So go to form controller. Well, within this handler method, let's create a empty user model object to store the form data. So here let me write the comment, empty user form model object to store form data. Well, whenever user enter the data in the form and submit the form, then that data will be stored in this user form model class object. So here let's have a user form object first, user form equal to new user form. Perfect. Now we have created empty object. Next, let's add this object to the model. So here we have model dot add attribute, and let's give attribute name as user form, and let's give attribute value as a actual user form object. Perfect. Next, let's create a list of professions. Well, in a user registration page, we will create a selection box and we'll populate the list of professions data. For example, if you can see the demo here we have profession and here we have a selection box, and we need to populate this data in a selection box, isn't it? So in order to do that, let's create a list over here. So let's say list of type string, and then let's call it as list profession. And next, let's use arrays utility class, arrays dot as list method, and just pass values like developer, and then let's say tester, and then architect. Perfect. Now we have created list profession. Next, let's add this list profession to the model. So let's call model dot add attribute method, and let's give attribute name as list profession, and let's give value as a actual list profession object. Perfect. Now we have added list profession to the model. Next, we need to return the view. So here let's have a return statement, and then let's give view name something like register hyphen form. Perfect. Now we have created handler method to handle user registration page request, and within this handler method we have created empty user model object to store the form data, and then we have added this empty user model class object to the model. And next, we have created a list of professions, and then we have added this list of profession to the model, and then this handler method returns register hyphen form view name. In next lecture, we will create a register hyphen form Thymeleaf template, and then we will design user registration form. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture, we have created a handler method to handle user registration page request, and this handler method returns register hyphen form Thymeleaf template view name. In this lecture, we will create registration form Thymeleaf template, and then we will design the user registration form, and we will use this user form model class object to store the form data, and we will also use this list profession to populate the data in a selection box. Okay, so let's go to templates folder, and within templates folder let's create a HTML file, and let's give name as register hyphen form. Perfect. Let's give title as user registration form. Next, let's go ahead and let's define the XML namespace for Thymeleaf. So go to HTML element and just type XML namespace :th equal to http and then www.thymeleaf.org. Perfect. Next, go to body. Within the body, let's design the user registration form. So before that, let's have a div first, and let's align this div at a center. For example, let's give align as a center. Well, if you look at the screenshot over here, we are going to design the user registration form something like this, and we are going to align this form at a center. For that we have used align center. Okay, next within this div, let's create one more div, and let's have an inline style for this div. So let's type style, and let's give a border hyphen style equal to, so let's give a border style as a solid. Okay, next let's give width as a 500 pixel. So this should be colon. Perfect. So if you look at the screenshot over here, we need to give a border to this form. Okay, for that we have used solid value, and next we need to give width for the form, so that is 500 pixel. Next within this div, let's create a heading. So let's use h1 element, and let's give heading something like user registration. Well, if you look at the screenshot, we need to use this user registration heading, right? For that we have used h1 header element, and then we have passed this user registration text in the body. Next let's go ahead and let's design the form. So here just type form, and then let's define the attribute for this form. So let's say role as a form, and then let's use HTTP method post, and let's use a TimeLeap attribute, that is th colon action, to define the action URL for this form. So in order to define the URL, we have to use a link expression, and here's the syntax: at the rate within the curly braces, just pass the URL, that is register hyphen save. Well, we'll write the handler method to handle this request in next lecture. Okay, next let's use th colon object TimeLeap attribute to point to the model class object, and in order to point to the model class object, we have to use variable expression. So let's type dollar within a curly braces, and then the model class object name is user form. Well, this user form model object is coming from the Spring MVC controller. If you go to form controller, within this form controller we have handler method, and within this handler method we have created empty user form model object, and we have added it to the model object over here. And here this model dot add attribute has attribute name and attribute value, and in order to access this attribute value, we have to use this attribute name. Okay, so this attribute name we are using over here, user form. Okay, and th colon object TimeLeap attribute will point to the user registration model object, and whenever user enter the data in the form and submit the form, that form data will be stored in this user form model object, and this user form model object is empty basically. If you go to form controller, you can able to see this is the empty object, so that we can store the form data. Okay, great. Next let's go and let's define the input fields for this form. So here let me have first label. So let's type label, and let's give label name as full name. Okay, next let's create a input field, and let's close it, and within this input field let's define its properties. Let's say type text, and then let's use th colon field attribute to point to the field name of the model class object, and in order to point to the field name of the model object, we have to use a selection expression. So here is the syntax: star within a curly braces the field name, that is name. Okay, well, in order to use selection expression, we have to define the previously selected model class object, and here we have already using th colon object TimeLeap attribute to point to the model class object over here. Okay, and here we are using selection expression to get the field name of this model class object, and here's a syntax to use selection expression like star within a curly braces. We need to pass the field name, that is name. Okay, so this name is basically a field name of user form model class object. For example, if you go to user form model class has a name field, right? So this field we are using here. Okay, perfect. Next let's go and let's define the input field for email. So let's have a label post. So before that, let me add one break element to give space between input fields. So here let's add a label, and let's give label name as email, and after that let's use an input element and let's close it, and then let's use its attribute like type. Let's use email, and then let's use field TimeLeap attribute to point to the name of the model class object, and let's use a selection expression, and here is the syntax star within curly braces email. Okay, perfect. Now we have defined the input field for email. Next let me add a one break element to give a space, and next let's define the input field for password. So here let's first add the label, and let's give label name as password. Perfect. Next let's use input field and let's close it, and let's use its attribute type password, and then field TimeLeap attribute, and then selection expression, and go to user form, and from here also you can copy the field name. For example, I am going to copy this password and I am going to paste it over here. Okay, so make sure that whatever the field name you have in a model class, the same field name you have to use in a selection expression. Okay, now we have defined the input field for password. Next let's go and let's use input fields for gender. So here let me add a break element, and after that let me add a label, and let's give label name as gender. Perfect. Next let's use an input field, and let's close it, and let's give type as a radio. Okay, and next let's go ahead and let's use a field TimeLeap attribute, and then here let's use selection expression star within a curly braces, and then pass the field name, that is gender. And next here we need to add one more attribute, that is value, and let's give value name as male. Perfect. And here we need to basically give a name to the radio box, that is male. Okay, perfect. Next let's go and let's define one more input field over here for female. So let's have a type as a radio, and then field TimeLeap attribute, and then selection expression, and then pass gender, and then here value female. Perfect. And let's give value as a female over here. Next let's add a break element to give some space, and next let's have a label for profession. Let's give label name as profession, and let's have a selection box over here. So here's the syntax. Next let's design the selection box. So just type select. Alright, and within this select let's have an attribute, that is field TimeLeap attribute, and then let's use a selection expression, that is star within a curly braces profession. Perfect. And then within this selection box we need to have an option, right? So for that let's have an option. Well, we need to show a list of professions in this selection box. For that we need to iterate over a list of profession in this option element. For example, if you go to form controller and go to this handler method, here we have created a list of profession and we have added to the model, right? Now let's go and let's iterate over this list of profession, and let's display a list of profession in this selection box. So here in an option we need to just use each TimeLeap attribute to iterate over a list of profession. So let me use each TimeLeap attribute, and here is the syntax local variable colon, and then let's use a variable expression dollar within a curly braces. Just pass the attribute name, that is list profession. Well, this attribute name is basically coming from the form controller. If you go to form controller, you can able to see we have added attribute name as a list profession and attribute value as a actual list of profession. Okay, and here we are using this attribute name here. Okay, you can copy and paste it over here. Next let's use value TimeLeap attribute to get a particular value from this list. So in order to get that, let's use a variable expression, and then just pass this p as a local variable. And next let's display this propagation by using th:\text timeleap attributes. For that, let's use th:\text timeleap attribute, and then let's use a variable expression dollar within the curly braces. Just pass a local variable, that is p. P stands for propagation. Okay, great. Now we have designed the selection box. Next, let's create a text area as well. So here let me add a break element, and after that let me add the label, and let's give label name as address. Perfect. And then let's use text area over here, text area. Okay, and here let's add an attribute for this text area. Let's give rows as 5 and then columns as 25. Alright, and next let's use th:\field timeleap attribute to point to the field name of the model class attribute, and here we have field name as a address. So here let's use selection expression and then pass address as a field name. Okay, perfect. Now we have created a text area for this address. Next we need to create a submit button. So before that, let me add one break element to give space between this text area and submit button. So here let's have a button, and let's give type for the button as a submit, and let's give name to the button something like register. Next, let's go ahead and let's run our Spring Boot application, and let's see how this user registration form looks in a browser. So let me start the Spring Boot application, and there we go. Our Spring Boot application is up and running in embedded Tomcat server on port 8080. Next, let's go to form controller, and here we have given a URL to access this handler method. The URL name is register. So let's copy this register link and go to browser. In a new tab, just type localhost:8080/register and hit enter, and there we go. We got a user registration page, but if you can see the alignment, okay, so basically we need to add a CSS to make this form look good. Okay, so we haven't added any CSS, that's why the form looks like this. Okay, so let's go and let's add some CSS so that this user registration form looks good. Okay, so let me go to IntelliJ IDEA. Next, let's see how to add a CSS to this user registration form. So go to register-form.html page and go to head element over here. Right after this title, let's create a style HTML element, and let's give type as a text/CSS. Perfect. Within this style element, let me quickly write the CSS code, and notice here I have given a CSS for label as display inline block width 200 pixel, margin 5 pixel, text align left, and I have provided CSS for input type text, email, password, and select as a display inline block width 200 pixel, and I have added CSS for input type radio, input type checkbox, and also for button. Okay, well, I am going to attach the source code of this section of the lecture so that you can go ahead and you can copy this piece of code. Okay, now we have added CSS for this user registration form. Next, let's go ahead and let's run the Spring Boot application, and let's see how this CSS will apply to user registration form. And here you can see our Spring Boot application up and running in embedded Tomcat server on port 8080. Next, let's go to browser and go ahead and refresh our Spring Boot application, and there we go. Now you can able to see the user registration page looks good. Well, in next lecture we will create a handler method to handle user registration submission request, and we will display the user registered data in a separate page. Alright, so whenever user enter the data and submit the form, then we need to handle this form submission request at a backend, isn't it? So in next lecture we will create a handler method to handle this user registration submission request, and we will display the user registered data in a separate page. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture we have designed user registration form. In this lecture we will create a handler method to handle this user registration form submission request, and we will display the user registered data in a separate page. Okay, so basically we are going to create one more timeleap template and we will display the user registered data. Okay, so go to IntelliJ IDEA and let's quickly create a handler method to handle form submission request. So let's go to form controller over here, and here let me write the comment handler method to handle user registration form submission request. Perfect. Well, whenever user fill up this user registration form and submit this form, then we need to create a handler method to handle this user registration form submission request, isn't it? So that is what we are going to implement over here. So here let me create a handler method. So just type public and let's give a return type of the method as string, and let's give method name as submit form. Next, let's go ahead and let's annotate this method with add post mapping annotation to handle HTTP post request with the URL register/save. Well, if you go to register form.html page, here you can see we have provided register/save link as an action to this form, isn't it? And we are going to handle this link request using this handler method over here. Okay, perfect. Next, let's pass a model as a parameter to this method. And if you go to register form.html page again, you can able to see here user form. Well, this user form model object contains all the form data, and we need to get this user form model object in a handler method, right? So for that, what we'll do, we'll use add model attribute annotation from Spring Framework to get the model object from TimeLeap template. And here we need to pass the model object. So here we have user form. Okay, so you can simply copy this and you can pass to this annotation like this, and this should be an instance of user form. Perfect. Now we got the model object, it contains form data. Next, let's add this form data to the model. So just call model dot add attribute, and here just pass user form as an attribute name and user form actual object as an attribute value. And next, let's return the view name. Let's give view name as register-success. All right, perfect. Now we have created handler method to handle user registration form submission request, and within this handler method we have used add model attribute annotation to get the model object, it contains the form data, and then we have added this form data to the model, and then we have returned register-success TimeLeap template view name. Okay, next we will create a register-success TimeLeap template view and we will display this model data. Okay, perfect. Next, go to templates folder, right click, new, and then choose HTML file, and let's give file name as register-success. Okay, perfect. Let's give title user registered data, and next let's define the XML namespace for TimeLeap. So just type XML namespace :th equal to http and then www.timeleap.org. Perfect. Now we have defined XML namespace for TimeLeap so that we can use TimeLeap syntax in this HTML page. So go to body. Within a body, let's display the model data. So here just type a div and let's align this div at a center. For that, let's use align attribute and then let's pass center as a value, and within this div let's have h1 header element and let's give a text as registered user information, something like that. Next, let's display the user registered information over here. So here let's have a div, and within this div let's have paragraph element, and then here let's say user name, and let's use strong HTML element to make name in a bold. So here within a strong element let's use th:\text TimeLeap attribute, and then let's use a variable expression to point to the model object attribute. So in our case we have user form dot name. So this user form is coming from the form controller. If you go to form controller, here we have submit form handler method, and if you can see inside this handler method we have model dot add attribute method, and then we have passed user form as attribute name, and actual user form object as attribute value, and we can get the user form object by using user form attribute name. So this user form attribute name we are using over here. Okay, user form dot name. So this will give user name. Next, let's print user email. So here let me copy and paste it over here, and let me change from name to email, and here let me change the field name from name to email. Next, let's display the password. So let me copy this and paste it over here, and let me change from email to password, and here let me change from email to password. And similarly, let me print the gender as well. So let me copy this and paste it over here, and let's change from password to gender, and here also change from password to gender. And next, let's print the address. So let me copy this, paste it over here, and let's pass address, and here also let's change from gender to address. Perfect. Next, let's print a married and profession field. So let me copy and paste it over here, and let me replace from address to married, and here also let me replace address with married. Next, let me copy this, paste it over here, and let me give a profession. Next, let's give field name as profession. Perfect. Now we have printed username, email, password, gender, address, married and profession. Next, let's run our Spring Boot application, and let's see how the user registered data will be displayed in this page. So let me stop the existing server, and let me start the Spring Boot application again. And here we go, our Spring Boot application is up and running. Now go to browser and just refresh this page. Let's enter full name as Ramesh Fadtare, and then email ramesh@gmail.com, password let's give Ramesh, and gender select male over here, and profession let's select architect, and then profession, and then address I will put Pune, and click on register, and you can able to see registered user information is successfully displayed over here, and name Ramesh Fadtare, email, password, gender, address, married, and profession architect. Perfect. It means that we have successfully displayed the user registered information in this separate page, and we have successfully created user registration form, and we have successfully get the value of this user registration form in a Spring MUC controller. Alright, I hope you understood how to create and design forms in a ThymeLib templates, and how to use ThymeLib attributes to deal with the forms in a Spring MUC project. Alright, great. I will see you in the next lecture.